We're here today to look back over the 2-year presidency of John Woodward as he steps down from the head of the Institute of Demolition Engineers.
This film was made possible by RAMA and the Institute of Demolition Engineers.
Okay, John, your 2-year IDE presidency is almost at an end. Did you achieve all that you set out to achieve, do you think?
No, Mark, I didn't. We achieved quite a few things. We didn't really increase the numbers that I would like to have achieved. I think we hoped that we would get 500 members at the end of my presidency. We're going to fall short of that. Partly because we perhaps haven't got the message out strong enough that the way to prove competency in demolition is to become a member of the Institute of Demolition Engineers. So I'm a little disappointed with that. I think we've sent the message to the construction industry particularly, that demolition engineers understand what we do. We're supremely skilled at what we do, but we probably didn't get as many people to actually fill in the application form. So I'm concerned about that. Financially, the IDE is on a fairly decent footing. Not probably as nice as we would like it to be, but in these difficult times, I think we're okay. We've managed this year to offer a bursary to Loughborough University for students who hopefully will produce a thesis to do with demolition. That needed to be done. That's been driven mainly by Terry Cornby doing his doctorate at Loughborough, and also some discussions I've had with one or two of the tutors at Loughborough. And another well-known man in demolition, Noel McLean from Armagh, also did his civils degree at Loughborough. So I feel that it's the best university to offer the bursary, and we've done that. So going forward, I'd like to see the IDE in future years offer more bursaries. But otherwise, I think we're not bad.
You mentioned the fact that you didn't get the numbers that perhaps you'd hoped for, but at the same time you've actually taken a pretty bold stance to expel some members because of their failure to see the examination process through. Would that have made that much of a difference at the end of the day? It
probably wouldn't. We took a decision when Adrian McLean was on the council to turn round the way that people paid their subscriptions. And that's been good, and there's now an encouragement that you move through the ranks. If you join as an entrant, you pay a subscription fee. You pass the exam, your subscription fee reduces. When you become a full member, it reduces further. So that was a good spin from Adrian, and it's gone the right way. We needed to make the decision with people who weren't progressing through. I've taken criticism, and Terry Cornby took criticism about the CPD, that the IDE suddenly decided to bring in CPD. We didn't bring in CPD. CPD was there from the 1994 CDM regulations and reinforced by the 2007 regs that people must be doing continual professional development and personal development. So we had no option but to do that. One or two people didn't embrace that, and then again, people don't always embrace legislation when it comes in. So we didn't really have any option. Disappointed that some people will leave. Yes, we've lost some numbers. We're probably going to lose another 40 or 50 between now and the end of April, because if people don't take the exam in March, we have no option but to say thank you but cheerio. And as I've said many times, sometimes you have to make drastic cuts to make the things flourish, and that's the way forward. We were very concerned that perhaps people don't understand the way that the IDE membership works, and people may perceive an entrant member of the IDE as being the same as a full member. And from our point of view, we couldn't allow that to happen. We needed to get the message out that the true definition of competency, as defined in the British Standard for Demolition now and in CDM, is a full member of the IDE. So that was a decision we had to take. Yes, we've lost some members, but for every member we've lost, we've probably replaced them with a new member. So we're there or thereabouts. The one thing that I really wanted to do, which we've certainly not done, is I wanted to push the international membership. I felt that we as an institute had a lot to offer the demolition engineers throughout Europe and throughout the world. And I really thought that we would get a major uptake on that, but it turns out that we were wrong, or possibly I personally was wrong. I don't think that people in Europe and through the world appreciate that the fact that you have letters after your name that say you're a demolition engineer enhances your reputation in the marketplace. And I think we probably haven't got that right. We also probably went about it the wrong way. I think we felt that Europeans should take the exam in English on English regulations, and it doesn't work like that. Myself and Terry and Steve, the incoming president, have worked hard now to have an alternative route. We've got a shared support route for people in the UK who maybe aren't used to taking exams, and the potential is to roll that out through Europe. So someone who's a member in Italy, and we have members in Italy, can then use the shared support route to gain full membership without taking an English exam. So we've done the groundwork, but the groundwork won't turn into the fruition in my presidency. That's obvious. I've got 2 weeks to run. I'm not going to change anything now. And hopefully Steve will take that forward.
John, in light of your very honest appraisal of your 2-year presidency, when you look back, what element gives you the greatest sense of pride?
There are a number of things really, Mark. I think everyone who's been a president of the IDE since its formation has done certain things within their presidency and have moved things along. Certain people wanted us to go down a more academic route. Certainly my thoughts were that I wanted to get more people in who perhaps had worked through the tools, and to get more people into the IDE who perhaps didn't have the perception initially that they could become members. So what I've tried to do is embrace those people and encourage them to come through. I've also tried to get the message out that we are supremely skilled in demolition. People look at us at times and think that maybe all we do is we come in, we remove the scrap quickly, we make a mess and we go again. That's always been the perception. I think sometimes the programmes on TV don't help because they always want to show when things go wrong. If you look at some of the projects carried out by demolition engineers, either members or not, particularly members, there's some fantastic projects that are being carried out. I mean, just when we're doing this interview, I'm just about to go to Amsterdam for the World Demolition Awards, and some of the projects that are out there from UK companies with IDE members are absolutely fantastic projects. And we are skilled, and what I've tried to do during my presidency is reinforce to people, particularly principal contractors and to clients, that we as individuals are supremely skilled. And the National Federation of Demolition Contractors, which a good many of our members work for those member companies, are also supremely skilled. So the idea is to send a message that the UK demolition industry maybe doesn't lead the world, but it goes a long way towards leading the world. And I think I've tried to do that. I've tried to get that out of there. I think I've also tried to perhaps change the way that we look at things and trying to get events done slightly differently. Duncan Riddell, who's coming in as Vice President, has done an excellent job as events director. We've got some speakers now that we wouldn't have had 4 and 5 years ago. We've got events at Leeds now which are fantastically well attended. We've got 20 or 30 stands, perhaps some exhibitors booked for this February. And it's becoming the event that you put the date in your diary, and that's one thing I wanted to do, was get people aware we've got these events and we put the date in the diary. So I think that's been good. We've also probably become a little bit more conscious about the fact that we can raise money for good causes. The NFDC has traditionally raised huge sums of money at their events. The IDE probably hasn't. It's a different event, it's individuals who are paying. But I asked the members during my presidency to do what they could to raise some money for Clare House up on the Wirral Children's Hospice. And we've managed to raise almost all that we need to sponsor one day next year as the IDE Day. We're £300 short, and I'm hoping that by the time I come out of the presidency, which is at the end of the AGM, we'll have raised that £300. And it'll be nice for me then to have a date in the diary next year, Clare House's diary, that says this is the IDE sponsored day. So I'm pleased about that as an achievement as well. I'm also pleased that there are 1 or 2 people who have progressed through to full membership of the IDE in the time that I've been Vice President and President, who have personally thanked myself and Terry and said, without you pushing us on, we would never even consider joining, and we would never have got to this level. And it's very nice to see people who will come to the AGM to receive a certificate from Steve Jack to say they're full members, who 4 years ago would never have considered that as an option for them. And I think that's been good. So those are the main achievements.
So, do you believe you're leaving the IDE in a stronger position than when you took up the presidency?
I wouldn't say it's in a stronger position. I would say it's in a slightly different position. Maybe it's been slightly realigned. It wasn't particularly the intention to realign it, but it may be that we've perhaps looked at things slightly differently, and we're trying to do things differently, and maybe that's where I would say we are. I mean, Terry did an exceptional job, because during the time that he was vice president, unfortunately Ross, who's no longer with us, was ill for quite a while when he broke his leg. So Terry effectively was president for almost 3 years. And then a lot of the things that I dealt with during my presidency were put in place by previous presidents. So some of that went along. I didn't make any great changes. I don't think it needed to be. Valerie has continued to do what Valerie does, which is run things nice and steadily back at the office. I think the magazine has progressed quite well. I think the website is progressing, will progress even more. And I think we're now getting people more aware of the IDE. So from that point of view, I wouldn't say it's in a better position. I just think it's aligned slightly differently.
Steve Jack has said that he plans to maintain a good many of the things that you and Terry and Ross set in place, but putting his own spin on things. So as the outgoing president, is there any advice that you could offer Steve as he takes up the role? Prepare for his inbox to be full. That's what I will say. We do get a lot of, or have got a lot of questions from people asking for advice. That will happen. Steve's been on the council for a long time. Steve has been preparing for presidency for a while. I'm positive that he will do it his way, because that's what Steve is. It'll be different to mine, but then again, if it was all the same, it would be boring. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I don't think we need to change things, but Steve will put his spin on things and he will move things forward. I think it'll be a difficult time with recruiting more members. That needs to be done. We certainly need to sell more tickets at the events, and I believe that we need to go out to the other people interested in demolition, and there are thousands of people in the UK interested in demolition, and we need to get those to come to the seminars. With Duncan moving up to Vice President, he will probably not do so much work on the seminars. Stuart Ackleton will probably get more involved on that, and my intention is that I will probably slide around to help Stuart and do some of that, and maybe get out there and do a little bit more selling. And I think we probably need to be bringing people in to see what we're talking about in the industry. The demolition engineers have got something to say, the IDE particularly. We have opinions, and we really need to let people know what those opinions are. One of the things that has been evident in your presidency is that the age profile of the IDE membership seems to have changed to be younger. You've mentioned Duncan and Stuart and people like that coming on track. That's got to be a great step forward for the IDE, surely. Absolutely.
I mean, there are people now starting in their career in demolition with fantastic knowledge, have worked on incredible projects. You've got people who work for some of the big demolition contractors in London who've done projects that I could have only dreamt of doing when I started out in demolition. And what I'm particularly keen to move forward, and I'm sure Steve is of the same mind, is that we need to get the message over that we are supremely skilled. And in the past, we haven't been perceived that way. And people need to realise that we do take an idea from a client and we can deal with something. A demolition engineer who is a member of the IDE can go to any project in the world and will be able to demolish that structure, whatever it is. Be it a ship in the middle of the ocean, be it an oil rig, a damaged building in New Zealand following an earthquake, a tower block in Glasgow. Between the people within the IDE, we have the skills to demolish anything. And the younger guys coming forward now, I would like to feel that they have, difficult to describe what I want them to have, I suppose a feeling of more acceptance in the general construction world that, yeah, these guys are good. And I think that's the real point that I wanted to make all the time through the presidency. We are bloody good at what we do, and just leave us to get on with it. We know what we're doing and we're good. And I think in the past we haven't been perceived that way. The final message I can say for IDE members is, I suppose, a mixed message. It's the fact that the IDE depends on you. When I became president, I borrowed words from another president, or two presidents actually, from John F. Kennedy and from Barack Obama, when I said, don't consider what the IDE can do for you, consider what you can do for the IDE. And that's what I want you to take forward. We're getting good attendance at regional meetings. What I want you to do in the membership is to continue to do the regional meetings so that we get a good exchange of views about demolition. Don't be frightened to discuss things that have gone wrong. That's the way that we learn. We must learn from our mistakes. Let's make the mistake once though, not repeatedly. So let's get dialogue with each other. Let's enjoy each other's company. Demolition is a fantastic industry to be involved in. People thought at one time that I was lifelong demolition. I wasn't. I came into demolition late from another industry, civil engineering, which basically, compared to demolition, is pretty boring. We're in a great industry. We have a real opportunity to change the world for better, to remove the buildings that need removing, to allow redevelopment in the future. It's a great industry to be in. Be immensely proud of being a demolition engineer and immensely proud of being a member of the IDE. The 2 years has flown by. It's been pretty good. And for the guys who've supported me, thank you. One or two who perhaps have felt that they would have liked me to do things differently. I'm not really going to apologise, unfortunately. That's the way things go. I've done my best. And at the end of the day, if you do the best, then that's all you can do. So, thank you very much. The president has gone. You have a new president now, Steve Jack. Please support Steve in everything that he does moving forward. He's got the best interests of the IDE at heart and always have. Support the events. Make sure you progress through the ranks. Get to full membership. You need to have aspirations to become fellows. But never forget that we are fantastically skilled at what we do.